All right. Well, welcome to our very first FSL and Friends TV show. My name is Bree Barris, and I'm the Director of Fraternity and Sorority Life. And it is our pleasure to welcome our first friends to our show, to be staff members and students from the Department of Orientation and Transition Programs. So first, what I want to do is give everybody who is a part of our call through that department an opportunity to introduce themselves. So Alex, I'll turn it over to you, and then if you want to popcorn through everybody, that would be great.
Sure. So my name is Alex Lyon, and I am the Assistant Director of Orientation and Transition Programs. I'm also a Greek member, so I'm an Alpha Xi Delta from Georgia State University. I'm actually a former Greek advisor, so Bree and I have been in that circle together for many years. So definitely familiar with Greek life and love getting involved with Greek students, and still participate with my own chapter as an alum. So super excited to talk about orientation today, about Greek life, how Greeks can get involved, how new students can get involved, and kind of go from there. So I guess I'll turn it over to Brandon if you want to introduce yourself.
Yes, hello everyone. So my name is Brandon Reese. I'm the program coordinator over orientation programs, also a Greek member, a member of Kappa Alpha Order. Maybe about 1 year ago, I was a graduate student at the University of Florida, Go Gators, where I worked in the Greek Life office, co-advising our MGC, or Multicultural Greek Council, and our Interfraternity Council, which is IFC. Mr. Beber, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Gotcha. Hey, my name is Ryan Beber, sophomore entrepreneurship major. Are we introducing what organization we're part of?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I'm in Sigma Nu. Yeah.
Awesome.
Unice.
Hi, my name is Unice. I'm a student director for transition programs, and I'm a member of Sigma Lambda Upsilon Senoritas Latinas Unidas Sorority Incorporated.
Thank you, Ms. Cuffey. And Ms. Martin, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Taylor Martin and I am a member of the phenomenal Pi Phi chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and I'm a 2020 orientation leader.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for being here. We're super excited about this program. And so one of the things that I think where we'll start is that even what brings us to having to do FSL and Friends and it be a virtual program is the fact of the times that we're in and how quickly a lot of things have had to shift. And so in even starting this, talk to us a little bit about what's going on in the world of orientation over changes that have happened, but more importantly, I think focusing on how did you make that shift to a virtual program from something that everybody really thinks about can only be done in person. So how can you make this happen in a virtual format?
So it has been a transition. So we are currently working, if you're a new student logging on, we are super excited to premiere this for you, and we're working really hard with your campus partners and advisors to make sure that your experience is somewhat what it would be. We know that it will not be anything like it would be if you were in person and getting to walk around campus. We're really bummed that we can't show you things. I know OLs were really excited to meet you in person and get to know you and answer your questions. But we sort of looked at what are the things that we really need a Kennesaw student to know? What are the things that are valuable to you during orientation, and how can we make sure that you're still getting that connection? Because when we hear feedback from students and even parents, their favorite thing that they get out of orientation is a personal connection. So our orientation leaders are going to be present during orientation sessions. You'll still get to hear live from all of us. So each time, if you signed up for a session, you don't need to switch over to a remote session. The one that you signed up for is the one that you will get. All of them have been moved online. We've gotten that question a lot. But you'll get to hear from campus partners. You'll get to meet with an OL, and then you'll get to meet in person with an actual advisor before you register. So we really kind of pared it down and looked at what was important. But we're all kind of navigating that. Like, what does this space look like, and how do we navigate it? How do we make sure that everyone can hear and be accessible? So we're working on accommodations, and all that stuff kind of goes into it. Because it sounds pretty easy, right? Even if we have some chapter members in here, like, oh, we'll just make our chapter meetings virtual. That sounds really easy. But then you end up getting all these hurdles of like, what if someone's internet's not working? What if your background's not working? So we're kind of navigating that and practicing with advisors. But we're super excited to bring it to our first years, and hopefully people will like it.
And kind of to add on to that, Alex, I think just sometimes it takes a kind of realigning your telescope, I guess. Like sometimes I think we get in a very like consistent way of like, we do it like this is how it's done, there is no other way to do it. And especially in times like this with everything going on, like sometimes you just got to do what you got to do, and you got to shift how you do things. So like practices that are all that, I mean, let's be honest, practices that are easier just because we're so used to them, just have to shift. And we just kind of have to refocus on like kind of what Alex was talking about with like, what is important? What can we like, what is the reason we're doing what we're doing? So it gives us a chance to kind of realign and just refocus on some of the practices we're doing. I'm kind of interested from like Unice, Ryan, and Taylor just to hear like how this whole shift with like COVID-19 and kind of the quarantine and the whole shebang has affected them as orientation staff, like orientation leaders, student directors, but also like in their Greek organizations as well.
Gotcha. I can start. So like for me personally, when it comes to like orientation, I'm not seeing the team the same way like in person. I have to take like more like time, more like own time. Like when we have house meetings, Brandon, we gotta schedule those. Like I know I'm not going to see them like I would on our normal days, orientation week being shorter rather than longer and virtual. But besides like school orientation stuff, being like Greek, like spring break, all our trip stuff, we couldn't go anywhere. A lot of the guys are like back at home, and then a few people are still around here. Like I'm actually living at one of the brothers' places right now, so that's pretty cool. But I think everyone just took a step back and tried to like settle down instead of like trying to go on like we normally do. But everyone's been really supportive.
I'll go next. So for orientation, it's just been different for me because when I got the job, I was so excited to be hands-on and be face-to-face with new students. But being an orientation leader, I really feel like I'm still going to be able to have that connection with them on Zoom calls and all of that, and creating group chats. And when we do get back on campus, they'll be able to see my face and know that's somebody that they got to talk to over the summer for orientation. And as far as Greek life goes, for AKA, we have been forced kind of to be creative with our virtual presence on Instagram and social media and stuff like that to really reach an audience of people that would normally come to our events and stuff like that. So it's really different, but I think that it's good because it's forcing everybody in their organizations to be creative and figure out new ways to reach people.
Hi. So for orientation or transition programs, it's been different because our extended orientation is like a camp. We go to a camp and then we like associate with each other and have like small group events like where it's just face to face, and that's how you build the connections for the first year students. But it's been different because it's like we aren't even meeting with our student leaders face to face. So it's like, how are we supposed to have these activities and events? Like, it's just, we aren't sure how to continue when everything has changed. And then for Greek life, it's, I don't know. So this is supposed to be like my first semester on campus, like with Greek life, but then I haven't been able to like experience that as much because, as soon as like everything happened, it's like, okay, well, I guess I'll be Greek life in my bedroom or something. So yeah, it's been different because like with community service, everything's at risk because, if we decide to do care packages or something, it's like, oh, well, it's like, what's the risk there? Yeah, it's just been like up in the air for everything.
I think that's how like a lot of people are feeling, to be very fair. Like just, I mean, in every aspect of like when you're in a Greek organization, I feel like you're kind of like, what am I supposed to do? But I think kind of the thing that kind of across the board, y'all were all saying, is just the creativity that you've had to kind of take on and develop, even if it's not like your number one, like, I want to be creative with this, the creativity that you need to do to kind of be successful in both your role in orientation transition programs, but also as a Greek student.
So going off of this, I think one of the things that we've heard several of our Greek students say a lot is being very disappointed that the orientation in-person experience is gone because of the ability to meet new freshmen and incoming students. So what recommendations would you give over how to engage with the incoming class population, and then even some things that they may need from our students that our students aren't even realizing that they need from them?
So I can start with this one. Alex, cut me off and pull me off stage if it goes a little wonky. But again, like, we are also kind of saddened that you don't get that traditional, like, face-to-face interface with these students. Because I mean, intake season, recruitment season, all of that is kind of like new student orientation is an ability for you to see, like, potential new members, right? So of course, depending on what, like, the situation is with COVID-19 and then Kennesaw State, all the things being decided on a much, much higher level than anything I would ever know. We're hopefully trying to do an in-person experience as well that would incorporate the ability to meet student organizations, but still also, if that doesn't work, being creative in a way to make sure that students are interfacing with you. We are doing some things over the summer with new student orientation called Live with New Student Orientation, where we'll be doing, like, Facebook Lives, Instagram Lives about different topics that students should know about coming to KSU. And one of those is Greek Life. So we'll be doing kind of a little segment about KSU Greek Life, ways to get involved, what each council is, because we all know that each council is very different. But then also you could interface as, like, a member of your organization. You can have a presence in that. And the more that you're seen visually, the more they'll interact with you. But we might also have some opportunities on our social media to allow you to have more of a presence, because most incoming students follow, like, our orientation Instagram. Alex, do you have any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I think all that's great. We really are trying to figure out what the best method of getting things to students, whether that's small videos that explain your organization, talk about recruitment and how they can become a member. We're looking at everything from student organizations to getting involved with the rec center. All of that has sort of been turned upside down, and we're trying to kind of give equal opportunity to all of the amazing things that students can get involved with. But we want to do it in ways that students actually use, because otherwise, if we're like, there are some schools that are just doing links to different things. And at this point, I don't know about y'all, I'm really tired of looking at PowerPoints and presentations, especially if you're rolling out of school. And if a high school senior just graduated, that's sort of the last thing they want to do. So we want to try to find a way to make them interactive. And then also you kind of asked about what students need from Greek students that they might not be getting. And I'm thinking about things like prom and graduation and those celebratory things that have now suddenly gone away. Like, my cousin has her beautiful prom dress hanging in her closet and she's trying to figure out when she's going to wear it. And those are things that we've never really had to deal with before. But that is something that Greek Life, I mean, people do formals, we do socials, we do mixers. So all of that kind of continues in a way when you become a Greek member. So that ways to celebrate. And I think Greek Life does a really great job at celebrating kind of at every moment. Like, we celebrate when we get new members. We celebrate when someone goes alum. We celebrate when people get an A on a test. And our academic support chairs and stuff will help us stay on track. So I think if students are looking for that, I would highlight those kind of things so that they'll never get it back necessarily with the people that they went to school with, but they can create some of those memories moving forward. Because I love that as an alumna, going back and participating in our founders activities, hanging out with my sisters and celebrating with them as they kind of go through life milestones. So just coming together, I would really focus on that personally.
Awesome. So in continuing the conversation, even about with our current Greek students, how can they get more involved with orientation, even as an orientation leader in the future?
Yes, absolutely. So it would be my dream to have more Greek students be on our orientation team. I'll speak into existence one of these days. But I genuinely think, and Taylor and Ryan and Unice, you can talk about this a little bit as well, but when you're an orientation leader or when you're working with our transition programs, you're one of the first students that these students meet. And it's not like a tabling opportunity where you might meet a couple of them and a couple of them might remember your face. You meet over 8,000 students coming to campus. And so these students know your name, they know your Greek. It's a benefit that helps your organization, but it also helps you get to know your potential new members, right? And I think just when it comes to like what I'm looking for is like hiring new orientation leaders, there's an aspect of being Greek when it comes to leadership that's kind of unmatched on most college campuses. Just there's things that and positions and committees and like tasks that you do as a Greek member that a lot of students on campus don't get. So you already had that leadership experience. You had that communication piece in your chapter meetings. You have that kind of presentation-based things when you talk about intake or when you talk about recruitment or rush. So you already have the skills to pay the bills. So would love for people to be on the orientation team 2021.
And when are applications available for 2021?
Yeah, also fantastic question. So we start recruitment in the fall for our orientation leaders and flight crew leaders. So we will be posting things on social media, on Owl Life, on all the platforms to allow you to apply. I don't know if Taylor and Ryan and Unice want to talk a little bit about like the benefits of being Greek and being an orientation leader, or kind of like your experience with meeting all the new students, and how you've used like your your skills that you have as a Greek member in this role.
I'll go. So when it comes to being Greek and being an orientation leader and really just being a leader on campus and anything, I kind of think of everything being cohesive. So I want to be a news anchor. I'm a journalism major. So getting those public speaking opportunities and opportunities to be in front of people and connect with people is a great thing. And being Greek and being a leader on campus automatically connects me with being an orientation leader, because being an orientation leader is also being a leader on campus. So I think that's just really a great way to make your presence known on campus and also show your spirit for your school.
Mr. Beber, Unice, do you have any?
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking. Because like I know what I want to say, but I don't want to stumble over my words. I'd probably say that they all definitely go together, and I didn't rush as a freshman, so I was an orientation leader before I was ever Greek. Now as a student director, I mean, I'm going through all the motions all over again, seeing everyone. But after being an orientation leader and going in, now I'm like the philanthropy chair. And now as a student director, I have to also talk to my house, which is kind of like my committee. And going between both of them, they really help each other. Like learning how to communicate with like brothers and like other organizations that are Greek is really similar to when I'm talking to all the small groups. And it just flows. And I always thought like talking to different groups of people feels different. So I work at Walmart right now, and I'm talking to a bunch of like middle-aged people. You get a real feel for like every group of people you can possibly talk to. Especially as an orientation leader, you're talking to a lot of parents who are just there and they're really excited. So it's not too bad, but you get a feel for every group of people that you probably need to for a while. It's powerful.
Thank you, Mr. Beber.
So for transition programs, I know like coming in as a flight crew leader, the student leader for transition programs, of course, but coming as a flight crew leader, like just having to recruit campers for our expedition, and then being a mentor for this small group of students for a week, and then continuing to like talk with them and engage with them over like the fall semester and even into the spring semester. I think it's really like good to kind of just like be pushed into this group of people that you never thought you'd be with, and then just build that bond with them.
Awesome. Well, also, some of you hit on this just a little bit, but if you want to add to it, and then definitely with Alex and Brandon being able to answer this, how has your Greek experience led you to your role now, and also how has it helped you in your current role?
I guess I can start this one. So I didn't know that working with students was a job until I joined Greek Life. So I was a resident assistant for my chapter house, which is sort of unique at Georgia State. But it was really the best case scenario because when you're an RA, a lot of times you don't get to pick your residence, but I did. So I got to live with my sisters and get the added bonus of being an RA and do that as a student leader. And then after college, I was kind of wondering what I wanted to do. I wasn't one of those people that came to college and knew exactly what my major was going to be. I switched like 5 different times. And so I took a job at a small school and I worked in Greek Life, and I kind of learned about student affairs and student development and working with young adults. And I kind of found genuinely my passion for working with young people and helping people in transition and helping them succeed and help them, have a kind of easier way than maybe I did going through college. Because a lot of college is knowing people who can connect you to things. And that's really what Greek Life does. So for example, when I'm looking at hiring someone, or even when I was interviewing for this position, Brandon and I were talking in a golf cart about my chapter because he was familiar with it. Not my chapter at my school, but Alpha Zeta Delta at a different school. And we were able to kind of know immediately, like I knew that he was Greek, he knew that I was Greek, I knew that he could get stuff done just like he knew that I could. And having that experience that's sort of shared, it doesn't really matter what council you're from or what chapter you're from. As an adult, as you're leaving, so I've been Greek for over 10 years now, and when I see Greek Life on someone's resume, I kind of perk up because I know that you can be consistent going to meetings. I know that you can keep in contact with people. Generally, you can show up where you're supposed to show up. Those kind of things you learn and get to really practice as a Greek student. So that helps you as you grow. And it's interesting, when they say like, it's not 4 years, it's for life, I was one of those people that's like, okay. But really, so I've been a volunteer for my organization. I served on like a national lead team and got to travel. Like we were in Seattle this summer, going to convention, and I got to speak there. Like those are opportunities that never would have come if I hadn't been Greek. So it really has shaped me as a person. And all of like my favorite people that I know are because I'm an Alpha Zeta Delta. So yeah, it really is like the fundamental thing that sort of drives how I got here, which is great.
And I think I'll add on to what Alex was saying, especially like as you are in like your role now as a Greek student, regardless of council or chapter. Right now, it kind of seems like very like not as big as it is in like reality. Like it just kind of seems like your little world at KSU. But once you leave and once you graduate, you start meeting alumni from different areas. You meet people, like you kind of have that connection like Alex was talking about when I looked at her resume and I was like, oh, she's in AZD. I know what AZD is because I was like Z-Man for 2 years. So we had that connection immediately, but also like people, it's one of those things where, as I was kind of talking about with like the orientation leader position itself, it has all of the underlying aspects that Alex was talking about, right? Like it shows that you can be a leader and that you have leadership capability. And it shows like kind of Unice was talking about, like most likely if you were Greek, regardless of your council or chapter, you probably did some service. You probably did some sort of like educational thing. You probably had to make some sort of GPA, I would assume. Like it shows like kind of the foundational things, and a lot more people are familiar with Greek life than you would assume post grad. So like I know a lot of people. A buddy of mine was graduating from the Georgia Southern, and he interviewed for a company, and the guy ended up being an alumni, like a KA alumni from our chapter, and he was like, "Oh, cool," and he got the job. So I'm not saying that, let me preface that, I guess not preface it, but let me just say like that doesn't guarantee the job, but like it's an open door, right? So it kind of helps propel you into whatever positions you want, as long as you're strategic in your undergraduate career, also getting involved like Taylor, Ryan, and Unice are with like orientation or things that'll kind of supplement that leadership as well.
I think Greek life kind of gets a bad rap sometimes, like we're superficial or in the news. It's never like Greeks are doing such amazing things. Let me write a New York Times article about all the cool stuff they're doing, right? it's always kind of negative in the press. And so I know when new students are coming into and thinking about going through recruitment, like I don't want to buy my friends, all of those things. Like I was that too cool kid. My roommate dragged me to recruitment. I didn't want to go. I ended up going Greek. She didn't. We still hung out, but it was a different experience in college, right? But I think as just Greek individuals, doesn't matter what council you're on, we really do work to protect our values and our organizations because they mean so much to us, and they continue to mean a lot to you even as you get older. And even if you have like no really volunteer like involvement, some of my best friends, like they still, if you talk about, you know, a fun time that you had sophomore year, they light up and it's like they're right back there. So it brings kind of this experience and it connects you to the school in ways, because I went to a large public institution. Even though I went to a big high school, it was still really hard to meet people. I'd always thought that I would like have friends in college. I never thought that I would have this kind of friendship with people. And Greek life really did that for me. And kind of, it's amazing how it's extended. And every time I work in a new place, it's like you meet new people who are Greek and you have that shared experience.
Any of our orientation leaders want to add to your, because I think you answered a lot of it in your last question, but does anyone have any additional things that they would like to add? Okay, no worries. So what I want to do is offer a few minutes if we have any audience for questions. If you want to pop your video on so that we could see you when you ask your question, that would be great. But we do want to have a time for Q&A. So what questions do we have from our audience members? I feel like we should play the Jeopardy theme song right now. Well, as people are potentially thinking, just as you kind of, you know, like you think about being our first friend on FSL and Friends, and really realizing the point of why we wanted to do this new talk show is really just being able to introduce our current Greek students as well as any incoming Greek students who are participating today, and even parents, anybody who we share this resource with, just some insight into the different, you know, departments and resources and friends that we have around campus. And so kind of in the ending of this, is there any last minute piece of advice, just statement, anything that you want to share with, again, those, you know, with any of the people watching, what could be helpful?
Yeah, I got it. Just be on the lookout because there's a lot of things going on. It can kind of seem, especially if you're like me, my freshman year, I had no idea what Greek life was. I just kind of didn't think about it. So I went my whole freshman year not knowing. But if I just would have like pulled up at the tent, went to Instagram, checked out what was going on social media, I could have like known. So just always be on the lookout because like all the organizations are going to be coming out with stuff. They want to get to know you. So don't forget, don't put it on the back burner, like be active because they're going out right now and trying to meet people for the summer, getting into the fall. And yeah, just don't like pass it up. You don't have to. At least get to know what you're looking at.
For me, I would say always be yourself and don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone when you come to college. Because I know for me personally, my freshman year of college, I was just like scared to go to stuff by myself and scared to just step out of my comfort zone. But obviously my sophomore year, I did that, and it's been one of the greatest decisions that I've made. So I would say step out of your comfort zone and look at IFC, MGC, and MPHC whenever you're looking at recruitment opportunities. I would tell you not to just block off an entire council just because you think it might not be for you. So do that and get to know the people in these organizations because it will give you a better opportunity to see what your future could look like in Greek life.
Awesome. Any advice to our current students that are on the call?
I would say to follow us on social media because we are going to be talking to you about how you can connect with our new incoming students. And then also I would just say utilize those resources that your organization has probably in place. I know like my chapter has, or my organization has a mental health hotline. There's a way, I know in this time we're sort of isolated and it can feel like a really big bummer to not be able to do the things that you're doing, but definitely stay connected and keep up with those resources and try to think about, again, what is important to you as a Greek person. So as you're going into this recruitment season, things might look different. You might not be able to go to tailgates the same way to meet people, to get your name out there. You might not be able to table even in on campus like you normally would. So just be willing to rethink how we connect and then think about what's important, because a lot of the kind of stuff that we do, it's a lot of fun, but like fundamentally there's sort of those things that we want. Like when we're going through recruitment, it doesn't really matter like if you're wearing a shirt that says what you are, you should be able to kind of go through recruitment and recruit in like jeans and a sweatshirt, right? So just maintaining that like you're looking for your values, you're trying to stay together with your values, and that kind of will help you kind of lead as you move forward. And understand also for current Greek students, literally everybody is going through this. No one has it down. And if your national organization has any kind of groups that you can be joining to see what they're doing, other chapters are doing, that really helps a lot. I know when I was in college, like just listening to someone with my position at another chapter, that helped me tremendously. Because I'm like, is it just me or is my chapter, like they don't listen during meetings? And people are like, oh my God, yes. So it just helps to kind of connect that way, especially when you're trying to do virtual training or any kind of virtual events. That kind of helps to understand, like, these aren't easy to pull off. So just kind of giving each other some grace and learning to see what might work, and leaning into that a little bit.
I think my advice for current Greek students, and I've said it once, I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to say it until forever, basically. If you or someone you know in your organization would be a good orientation leader, if you look at them and you're like, dang, you can talk to anybody, even if they're quiet, please have them sign up, please, or have them apply rather. Truly would love to have more of a Greek presence from all councils on our team. Currently on the orientation team itself this year, we have one orientation leader that is in MPHC, Miss Taylor Martin, and then one student director that's in IFC, which is Ryan. So that's honestly a lot of capital that Greek life could have a presence in, and spread awareness about your organizations and what you do and how you do it. But it's kind of a missed opportunity. So if you would like that opportunity, please be on the lookout to be an orientation leader in 2021.
Brandon, how many orientation leader slots are there?
That's a great question. I say with some question marks. So roughly it's about 40, I would say. Somewhere between 30 to 40. That's kind of the area that we hit.
And the perks of the job, you not only get to meet people, you also get paid in actual money, not just in t-shirts and stuff, but you also get that too. So it's like a legit job. It's not just for fun. So yeah.
Any last thoughts from anybody? Well, on behalf of the Department of Fraternity and Sorority Life, we really, really appreciate everybody who was a part of this call. We are very excited to, from now until absolutely the end of the summer, but also throughout the year, hosting every Friday our FSL and Friends. And so next week we have up our SGA president, who also happens to be a member of our community. And so please join him as he talks about also ways to get involved and really help us learn a little bit more about what SGA is and the power of it on our campus. And so again, thank you so much to anybody who wants to get in touch with orientation. We will post links to their all of their social media as well as email addresses to reach out to them. But again, thank you guys so much for being a part of this, and we enjoyed it. So thank you.